Welcome to Screen It or Stream It,
where we take a look at a movie that's in theaters now
versus one you can stream at home,
and we try to decide which one should you go with. Today on Screen It or Stream It, we're talking Showman, The Greatest Showman. So, if you haven't heard of that one, it's in theaters now. Pretty fun. It's a musical, so if you like musicals, that's good. If you don't, then, well, sorry, it's a musical. So, it is the story of P.T. Barnum. Of course, if you don't know who he was, you need to look that up because you need to know that. Of course, he did the circus, the Barnum and Bailey Circus, and it's basically about how he became P.T. Barnum. So, it's a story about a boy, a girl, and a dream, and pretty much, basically, he's kind of grows up, he's the son of a tailor, you know, nobody important, nobody in society, certainly, and he kind of sort of cons his way into getting people to trust him to lend him money a little bit, and that's how he ends up with this, you know, these ideas that he needs to attract people because people want to see things that are macabre or strange or different. And so he kind of ends up building a business that way of kind of sideshow things that are weird and oddities.
And it wasn't like he was like, ooh, I want to entertain the masses. He was like, how can I make some money? What will give me some money quick? And he kind of was hung up on the whole like status and, you know, like social status. He wants to be
he wanted to climb the ladder to be that high social standing guy. Of course, as entertainment goes, there are kinds people respect and kinds people don't, and he was kind of on that fringe of the establishment didn't know what to do with him. They thought, well, that's just weird. I don't like that. So he ended up getting really heavily criticized a lot, but you know, he kind of made his fortune and made things work, and really the story kind of kicks off from there. It's, you know, constantly striving and getting better, and then of course there's pitfalls that happen, and it's pretty much about him and his life and building that and the things that go right and sometimes wrong, and a lot of music in the middle. And Zac Efron showed up. Like, I didn't see him in any of the trailers, and there he was, and I wish I'd known because it was kind of surprising, like, oh, hey Zac, what are you doing here? But anyway, so that's the gist of what the movie's about. It's about a showman who turns out to be a very great showman and makes the circus happen, makes it a thing, because it wasn't a thing before him. So, we've got pretty good star power in this one. Of course, Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, and that one lady, I can't remember her name.
Michelle Williams?
Yes.
I think it's her name. Lots
of great star power, some fun songs and stuff. What are we going to rate this one?
We're going to give it 3 stars.
Alright, so I have to say, I don't get to musicals that often. I don't hate them, but they're not always my thing. This is one of the more fun ones I have seen in a while.
For the most part, I am not a fan of a musical, just based on principle. There have been a few I like, but for the most part, like as a genre, I don't like musicals.
Yeah.
I was a little bit worried going in to watch this if I was going to be able to sit through it, but I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. I mean, if I was a lover of musicals, I might have gone, 4 or 5 stars with it. But not liking a musical at all, it was still okay. The music in it to me was good.
It was all pop, so it's incredibly catchy.
Right, but I mean, sometimes it's I don't know, it's kind of drab. But I'm not going to be walking down the street singing these songs anytime. They weren't catchy enough that they're like locked in my brain, but they weren't bad songs.
No. I did finally realize, because from the first few notes of the first song, I had that sounds familiar. Where have I heard that song before? So I had to ask, did they take like modern music and then rewrite the words to it to make this happen? Of course, my wife told me, no, it's just pop, so it all sounds the same. And I guess that's fair, because I realized that first song they opened up with and went for the first 20 minutes of the movie off and on, it had like a very similar lead-in, not the chorus, but the main like verses to Despacito. That's what it reminded me of, and it was stuck in my head for like 6 hours. It was horrible, but in a good way. So,
well, not me. So I IMDb'd the movie because I wanted to look, because it felt almost like a Disney movie to me.
You know, it did. It really.
And I don't know if it was actual content,
like that almost upbeat kind of right. Things are going to be okay sort of feeling.
I don't know if it was just the content of the movie, or if it was the fact that it was a musical. And I mean, if I see a musical, it's usually Disney something.
That's true.
They trick me. They're like, look, cartoons. No, it's really a musical. But I was like, I don't think that was Disney. I was trying to remember what it was. So I IMDb'd it, looked it up, and it's 20th Century Fox. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then I remembered the logo because they did it in black and white when it came out in front. I was like, I should have remembered that. But I saw something that struck me when you're scrolling through IMDb and the picture comes up, and underneath it has the genre for the movie. And the very first, it had like 3. It had musical and I think drama, but the very first one it listed was biography. This is not a biography.
I know I can't speak for you, but I think in this case I can. We would have both liked it much more if it had been the biography of P.T. Barnum, because that interests me. As soon as I saw it, I was interested because I want to know the story. And in the credits, they even had a disclaimer that while this was inspired by true events, much of it has been fictionalized and dramatized for blah, 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 blah.
Well, I think you said when we come out past the fact that his name was P.T. Barnum and there was a circus, that's probably where the similarities to real life events.
And I haven't looked up the history versus Hollywood on this, so I don't know how accurate it is. But
when I first saw the trailer for it, I got really excited because really, I mean, P.T. Barnum, that has to be an interesting story.
It's got to be.
And I was like, oh, that's going to be good. And I saw Hugh Jackman, and I'm like, oh, well, I like stuff he does. Well, it's going to be good. And then they started singing, and I went, what? But it doesn't. It's a musical.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
It's like they take every chance they can to sing and dance, even if it has no rhyme or reason or place there. And
well, it usually rhymes.
But there's not always. But it doesn't. I was a little disappointed. I was in the fact that there were some blatant things that you watch and like knowing nothing about P.T. Barnum, just knowing the era and the time they were in. Like, yeah, that didn't happen that way.
Yeah, things that just felt off.
But the story itself, like, is an okay story. It wasn't a whole lot of story. Again, it's a musical, and it was basically how can we fit dance numbers and singing in here. But
they were nice dance numbers.
It was a little different because it was pretty much wrapped around a circus.
Yeah.
And the sideshow, and so you have all the sideshow people. There's the bearded lady and
she was delightful.
The tall man, and there was all these different people, and so there was at least something different to the singing and dancing, even though it was singing and dancing because they were sideshow people.
Yeah.
So that to me added some interest. And like you said, the music was fine.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I think if you are a fan of musicals, it's definitely worth a watch.
Certainly.
If you're not a fan of musicals, I don't know if I would really recommend it and say, hey, you should go see this, just because it is kind of it's a musical.
Definitely.
And it's not, it doesn't reach beyond that, really. There's nothing else there to me.
They did put a few moral themes in there, one of which to me felt shoehorned in, like it. I don't know, it just, to me, did not feel like it fit with, they had this kind of main thing going on. Oh, by the way, we're going to talk about this now. And it just, to me, that was a little off-putting. Not a lot, just a little.
I don't know, they had several love stories in there, and I don't know if you'd call it a love triangle, kind of, sort of a love triangle.
And, a broken love triangle.
And I don't know. The one thing, like I said, it had a very Disney feel to me. The only thing that kind of put me off from thinking maybe it's not a Disney movie is there were some, and I don't want to say adult themes, because adult themes, they're like not violence and things like that, but it was like you did have the love stories and the infatuation, and it is wrapped around a sideshow. So there's there's the people protesting, the freaks, and there's little, I don't know if you'd call it violence. There's some drama,
mild violence,
and things like that. Nothing I would be like, oh no, you can't take a kid to see this type thing. But some of it just seemed a little more.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that was really not kid friendly. I think that would.
I mean, Disney used to be good. We killed Bambi's mother, Dumbo. We're good at shooting people, killing people, and all that. But recent Disney has been very anti. Hey, let's kill and violence.
We've been shying away from that sort of thing.
But and so I was like, although, well, That's probably a spoiler, but I don't care. But I mean, there's a flashback at the first when he's a little kid, and his father dies when he's very young. Mm-hmm. So that is, I mean, it's a boy and his father instead of mother. Well, yeah. But that is very Disney. We'd have killed the parent off real quick.
But it happened so fast, it wasn't really that traumatic for the viewer, because you weren't that invested in anybody yet, so it's just kind of, oh, well, that stinks for him.
And like I said, it was kind of in a... And they didn't drag it out. It was just a...
And they didn't punch you in the face with it either. It just kind of...
like, hey, we want you to know he's gone.
Yeah, it was more just the setting of...
I thought people did very well with their parts, too. I thought Hugh Jackman as P.T. Barnum was really good.
Absolutely.
Zac Efron. I mean,
once I got over the shock of him being there, because I wasn't expecting him, like, oh, all right, he's fine.
Well, and I mean, he played a pretty rich, pretty boy. I mean, it fit.
Typecast.
Yeah, I mean, it did, but it fit him. The lady that did the bearded lady,
she was great.
Aside from the very obvious, like, glue the beard every once in a while, she did really good. I assume since it... I mean, in the credits, when it played, the song titles at the end, it said Hugh Jackman and it said the people. So I'm assuming she's the one singing. She had a very nice voice. She sang really well. They had really good... what's the girl's name that was Zac Efron's love interest?
I can't remember her name, but she was the trapeze artist.
Yes.
Sibling, sister lady. But I don't remember her name. And I mean that sister in both contexts.
She's a musician or something that I'm too old to know about, apparently.
I also am not sure. Sorry.
She had one of those one-word names like musicians tend to do, and...
couldn't say. I have forgotten it.
But yeah, they did there was no cringeworthy, ooh, that person really shouldn't be in a musical type moments. I mean, they did a good job. I was kind of skeptical. I know he did... like Les Miserables, but still, when those lips parted at the first and the drawn out words, I couldn't think of the word, the drawn out words, and it starts turning into music, and I'm like, oh no, here goes Wolverine singing. What's going to happen? But no, it was fine, and I usually don't like the songs. I did like the music was fine. I was interested in it. The one thing, I think the reason I don't like musicals is a lot of times the music, it doesn't fit into the story well. It's just like...
It'll be, the story's going along, and then it stops for no apparent reason, and suddenly we're singing a song.
And a lot of people love musicals just for the musical nature of it. But I don't, that if I like a musical, it's usually because the Blues Brothers is about a band. So it's okay when they're singing.
Yeah.
Something like that I'm okay with, but I usually don't like it, and I did. Like, again, I can't be like, oh, you must go watch and see this, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah. A rave review.
Yeah.
Of course, you know why they don't let Wolverine actually do the singing stuff, right? He shreds the competition.
Oh, he reached really hard for that one, and no.
Fine. Well, it was a fun movie. It had a few dark undertones. They dealt with racism a little bit, and... inequality, or just excluding anyone. I guess it didn't have to be racism, but
no, because they picked on his daughters, but
classism, I guess, too.
Yeah,
and that was kind of a constant theme throughout. But I don't know it.
Well, and then you had
me, it felt awkward throughout. Every time they brought it up, it just felt like it was a very obvious. Here, we're gonna talk about this now. But it was fine. It wasn't preachy. It was good.
Everybody came out. Well. Okay, so there were some bad guys, but I mean, there really weren't villains in the story.
No,
there were people, like I said, there were people protesting the sideshow.
We weren't sure why they were protesting exactly, but just because they're intolerant, I guess.
But everybody was kind of saccharine sweet, and well, I mean, I can't imagine, and so. P.T. Barnum was it was like Civil War, like late 1800s, mid to late 1800s, I think, when. Well, I mean, they were horse and buggy and everything.
Oh, that's true. They were.
So, but
it felt more recent than that for some reason. Maybe things were too clean. I don't know.
Well, it probably was, but I did notice. That they took a buggy everywhere.
They did take buggies everywhere. Yeah.
But, so I'm assuming it's pre-1900, anyways.
Yeah.
And to be pre-1900 and. Like, people were very open-minded, and people were very just saccharine sweet, and I just can't imagine P.T. Barnum. I can't imagine someone, climbing the ladder from nothing to having that much money and that much wealth and power and influence, being just saccharine sweet family man who's just doing everything for the good of his family, and it just, I don't know, I just didn't buy that. Maybe
that's one of the things that was a little off-putting to me, because I mean, occasionally he did sort of like shuffle off his circus sideshow people and say, no, don't come in here right now. And
but he always went back.
It's played very ambiguously as to, is he trying to keep them away because he's ashamed of them, or, you know, he wants to actually be with these other guys. That's what I assume, but they played it very ambiguous in the movie, like it was a very low-key racism, I guess. I don't know.
Well, they tried to it tried to be a nice, happy movie, and that's what it was. But it just kind of missed out for things that I would have looked for.
Those undertones felt out of place to me.
Yeah.
Because they had made everything so saccharine sweet. But anyway, it's fun. It's upbeat, so, and if you take kids to it, they probably wouldn't catch that stuff anyway, so...
Nah.
So, more power to you. But, if you don't like musicals, or if you want a different musical, you don't want to go out, what do you have for a streaming option?
So, I had a really hard time coming up with a streaming option because, like I said, it was so a musical, and I wanted to recommend something that was similar, and it was like, oh, I don't have a huge bank of musicals. But again, it reminded me so much of Disney, so I'm going to go with the Disney one. I'm going to say, because I originally thought like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or Mary Poppins or something like that would have been a good recommendation.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Bedknobs and Broomsticks because it's one that I really like. It was made in the early 70s, but it's actually about World War II, and it's Angela Lansbury, and she is a British woman during World War II, and the British Isles are under attack from the Germans, and the British think they're going to lose the island at any second. And she wants to do her part to help in the war effort. And so she takes a correspondence course by mail to be a witch. And she's going to use magic to help win the war. And she's working on it. The spells are working. She has some magical ability. And all of a sudden she has to take in a bunch of orphans because they're war orphans and like the state is making her. And basically she doesn't want to because she doesn't want people to know she's doing witchcraft and stuff, and now she's got a bunch of kids running around the house. And anyways, they have to go off on an adventure and try to... She's missing a spell that she really needed, and the letters aren't coming anymore because of the war. There's no post.
Yeah.
And so she goes off on an adventure with the kids, and they try to hunt down this letter or this extra spell. And of course there's lots of singing and stuff, but again, I really like the songs in it, and it has more of a story to me than The Greatest Showman did. But it's a really good one. If you like Disney's and musicals and you haven't seen it, check out Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
I also had a hard time, and I'm going with of the three that I narrowed it down to, the one I liked the most. I'm going with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Not that heinous remake, sorry Johnny Depp. I just didn't like that one. The old one with Gene Wilder, love that movie. Of course, it's the story of a boy who all his wildest dreams come true.
That's another musical, actually.
Yeah, it's a musical. You don't remember it as a musical, but it is. It's got songs throughout. Of course, Charlie Bucket, he finds the golden ticket in the candy bars and gets the tour of the chocolate factory with 5 other kids. And basically, you get a lifetime supply of chocolate. That was the one lucky winner gets this after the day. Anyway, lots of songs later, lots of stuff happens. It's kind of hard to describe that one quickly, but it's the thing that drew me to it was P.T. Barnum is kind of conniving and shifty, and he's clever, and he does kind of these tricks on people. But
overall, he ends up being a good guy.
And he's a good guy. Willy Wonka's kind of the same spirit of character, that he's misdirection and all these strange things happening. And in fact, at one point they asked him, what is this, some kind of fun house? Because just weird stuff kept happening, but why, having fun? Love that movie. Gene Wilder is delightful, and it's a great movie. If you've not seen it, definitely watch that one. Didn't have the same kind of negative undertones. It had some with the kids being bad and then bad things happening to him, which was delightful. But it's also a lot of fun, kind of similarly. So anyway, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, check it out. That's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for watching Screen It or Stream It.
And remember, don't take your kids to the movies on Tuesday nights because that's when we go.